I've been travelling the Mediterranean world, I suppose, since I was a student. When I began to go and work on excavations, mostly in the Mediterranean. I worked in Spain and I visited Greece and stayed at the British School in Athens, which is this amazing research institute that's still there. And since then I've had a chance, and one of the wonderful things about being someone who specialises in this sort of field is you do get a chance to go and visit other places. So I've spent time in Italy and Germany and many other places in Africa and Turkey, Israel quite a lot, Jordan and Egypt. So those which is, I haven't quite walked around the whole of the old Roman Empire, but I've done a fair bit of it. There's many more places I'd love to visit, and I don't know firsthand much about the archaeology of the Far East. And when I visited Australia, I've just visited the big modern cities, and Brazil likewise. So there's always more to find out, and always more things to see. But I think I'll be very fortunate, and I hope some of that experience comes across in the book. Every site you visit is different, and sometimes you can visit a site which is in the process of being excavated, and you can talk to people as they're working on an area and find out what their hypotheses are and what's changed. And when you're in the middle of an excavation, often this changes week by week as you're trying to put it together. Some sites were excavated so long ago, so vast, that it's an effort of the imagination to try and sort them out into different periods. So you visit modern Athens, this extraordinary modern city which has got about a third of the Greek population in it. It's huge, and then in the middle you've got this archaeological park around the Acropolis. But when you go up to the Acropolis, you see traces that there was once a minaret. Once Athens had a whole series of minarets and mosques there, and as Mary Beard showed in one of her recent books, the Acropolis, the Parthenon itself was a church for longer than it was a temple to Athena. And so there's all these different periods layered on top of each other, and so the effort of imagination is to try and focus on just one period and imagine what goes with it. So archaeologists often use the analogy of a manuscript that's been written on and then cleaned over and written on again and cleaned over and written on again, and you're trying to see all the different text, or a painting which has been cleaned and painted over, and you can sometimes see an earlier one on an X-ray, and that's very much what people are doing, particularly on these cities. Athens has been a city since the Bronze Age. Athens has had nearly 5,000 years of continuous occupation, of which probably 3,500 years it's been a city of one kind or another. It's very hard to choose a kind of favourite city, or even a most fascinating city. I've lived for quite a bit of my life in Rome, which is always special. Istanbul's amazing because it has all these different kind of imperial layers on top of it. A Greek city that becomes a Roman city, that becomes a new Christian capital when the empire shifts gear, and then becomes the centre of one of the greatest Muslim empires ever known, and is today, along with London, one of the two greatest cities of Europe. So Istanbul would be a particular special, but it's also quite fun to think about the very tiny ones, and the port of Rome, Ostia, which you can still wander through, and it's mostly abandoned. It's not on the big tourist trails, and you walk down the paved steps and you can sort of smell the wild grasses because they don't mow the sites too well. And it was largely rebuilt by Mussolini because he felt Rome should have a proper visible heritage, and so you get the slight weirdnesses of fascist rebuilding, and yeah, it's quite a magical experience. And if I'm in Rome and I have a day free, quite often I'll just go down to the port of Rome and you wander through these huge abandoned warehouses, temple precincts, and there's always something new.